let's talk about the narrative you have going on in your head. Because whether you are aware of it or not, there is a narrative happening in your head 24/7. You are always thinking about something, telling yourself a story about a situation happening, telling yourself a story about somebody else and what they're thinking of you, right? And I use the word story very purposely because 99.9999999% of the time, the assumptions you are making within your narrative in your head are not accurate. They are literally assumptions. They are based upon so many things. So what is your narrative based upon? Your narrative is based upon your past. Your narrative is based upon your wants, your needs, your fears, your hopes, your wishes, your expectations, your traumas, right? All of these things create your narrative. And notice how I said your in front of all of those things. Your past, your wants, your needs, etc. Because it's all yours. Your narrative is not happening in anyone else's head. You cannot sit there and accurately assume what someone else is thinking about you, about something you had done, what they're expecting of you, right? And so we create these narratives in our heads, and then we create these expectations of ourselves and others based upon these narratives, and we don't properly vocalize any of this, and so we never clear it up, and so we just store all of these stories in our head about how life is, and that's what creates the difference in perspective of every single person, is the narrative that's going on in our heads, where it's based or what it's based off of, aka all of your stuff, and then how we respond to it. Do you sit there and believe every thought you have? Because I know some of your thoughts aren't necessarily positive. Some of your thoughts may be self-deprecating at times. And so you're going to sit there and believe those, place your power behind those? No. You don't think every single thought, you don't believe every single thought that you have. That is detrimental to your mental health, okay? And so when you're sitting there creating these stories, the more you're able to become conscious of this, and the more you're able to identify the fact that it's just a story, you're just making assumptions, the more you can enter into actual reality here and perhaps communicate with this other person asking, hey, how do you feel about what I just did? Do you have any opinion on my way of doing this, right? And so like, if you even want to know, but don't sit there and create stories and assumptions, because then you are altering how you see other people. You're saying to yourself, oh, I bet they think I did a horrible job, right? And then all of a sudden you're growing defensive within yourself because of a story you made up, not because they actually thought you did a bad job, right? And so please remember that your narrative is not happening in anyone else's head, and your narrative is based upon all your stuff, not the other person, not what the other person did or didn't do, not the truth even, right? And so when you are feeling anxious, when you are feeling fearful, when you are feeling insecure, when you are feeling lack, when you are feeling not good enough, remember that it's just a story that you are playing out in your head. And it is not needing power. You do not need to believe every thought that you have. You get to pick and choose what you think and believe. Put your power behind. And so, with that being said, remember that no one else is thinking what you're thinking of you, how you're thinking that they are thinking of you how you think of you. It's all you, okay? And that's empowering, that's liberating, because you have control over you. You have control over your stuff. You have control over your narrative. What you don't have control over is other people. And so when you take the power away from other people to shift your narrative, to make your narrative, like if you need another person to compliment you in order for your narrative to be one of positivity of yourself, that's giving your power away. But when you're able to remember that you are in control of your narrative, and your narrative is going to have a lot to do with how you show up in the world, you take your power back and you can do something about that. And so it is empowering to remember that your narrative is not happening elsewhere, and you don't have to believe every single thought you have, and that you have control over your narrative. And with that being said, thank you so much for showing up and watching, and I would love to hear what you thought of this. So I will see you later. Have a good, wonderful day, week, month, year, life, etc.